Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. On right now we have Sebastian, president of Stranger Comics and writer of Niobe and The Untamed. How are you today, Sebastian?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Denver Comic Con. Woo!
It's like my first interview of the day and everything was so hectic this morning and I came up to you and sputtered sentence fragments, so sorry about that.
No worries.
What I'm really interested in is just kind of the whole concept behind Stranger Comics and like the product line starting with The Untamed and where we go from there. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. We started Stranger Comics about a decade ago, I guess now. I've been creating a kind of a culturally inclusive fantasy world for about 30 years. The first book that we put out was called The Untamed, A Sinner's Prayer. And that is a story of a bad man who's stuck in purgatory. And after 10 years, the devil comes along and says, I will give you 7 days to reap the 7 souls that murdered you and your family. So he takes this kind of badass Yojimbo spaghetti western, drifter's return to a one-horse town in a huge world. And along his path of vengeance, he meets a little elven girl called Niobe. And she becomes a somebody and hope for his redemption, but at what cost, etc. So Niobe is first introduced in that book. And then she got her own, and that's beautifully illustrated by Daryl May and Peter Bergting.
And the painting in it is just absolutely gorgeous. Like
Thank you.
The actual like art, like I was flipping through it yesterday. You know, sometimes in independent comics you see like subpar art. This is not there. This is like top-notch, beautiful book.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Daryl and Peter, they knocked it out. We spent about nearly 10 years painting the book.
Wow.
So Peter Bergting does covers for Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings over in Sweden. Works with Mike Mignola in Baltimore. He's really pro. He's amazing. And Daryl does all the layouts for all of our products, our kids' books, our comics, and so on. And Niobe, we plant a seed with her in The Untamed, but she gets her own series in Niobe She Is Life. And then we actually have the sequel coming out right now, Niobe She Is Death. And Niobe, being the Luke Skywalker of our world, we knew she needed her own series. I was lucky enough to get to do a book with Amanda Stenberg, who is the actress from The Hunger Games and current movie Everything, Everything. I knew it needed an authentic, young, black teenage voice to bring Niobe to life in an authentic way. I might be mixed, but I'm not a young teenage girl.
Right.
Not the last time I checked. Hello, Mum. So Niobe became, funnily enough, the first ever nationally distributed comic with a black female author, artist, and hero in the history of comics.
Oh.
And Daryl again did the layouts, but Ashley A. Woods out of Chicago, she did the beautiful kind of very bright, hopeful colors on She Is Life. And then in the sequel, we go from faith in She Is Life and a little naivety and young romance, a Beauty and the Beast love story, to Niobe She Is Death, where she realizes that doesn't work so much and she's a teenager, she's growing up. So she, becomes a bit more aggressive and she becomes a badass bounty hunter hunting down sex traffickers and slave traders.
It's awesome. I like it.
Thank you. And then she'll go to Niobe She Is Spirit, where she combines both faith and the martial. And then Niobe She Is God, where she binds nations and becomes like Cleopatra. So that's kind of like the long term. We got lucky with Jay Lee, who is doing the covers. Yeah. Sheldon Mitchell, who worked on our Vampire Hunted ebook. He does Erathune for us, featuring Niobe when she's older. And he's doing these amazing, amazing illustrations for She Is Death on the interiors. He's worked on Cable, a lot of Top Cow stuff like The Darkness. But I think his best work is right now doing what we're doing with him.
So when you're looking at this shared universe that you're creating,
yes, sir.
Like what is kind of the impetus behind being as like diverse and inclusive like in the comic book? Like,
sure.
Is it? I know there's a lot of people that complain a lot of the time that this is you're forcing this woman character, this black character, this whatever.
Sure.
So clearly that's not the spirit that you're coming from. Like, talk to me about the decision to make this like fully inclusive like world.
Well, I'm mixed. I grew up in a very small white village in England, and I think I just romanticized, and I loved Lord of the Rings. I loved fantasy. I loved Jack Kirby. I loved all this stuff. I think I just romanticized about having and played D&D a lot, live action role playing. Shout out to my LARP crews. Yeah, dude. Foam swords. Yeah, I'm good.
We're safe here. I played a lot of vampire rock, paper, scissors.
There you go. Okay. Good. So you know the drill. But I just wanted to, I think I just, romanticize and fantasize about creating a world that I could escape to, and that represented all folks. And I think Niobe for me was kind of like this weeping Buddha type character where she could take on all of my hopes and my fears and my ambitions and my sorrows and my, whatever. And it's a lot to ask of her, right? So I put all this pressure and this weight on this one girl who can hopefully, bear the weight of all of our hopes and fears on her winged shoulders. And so, it does definitely come from an authentic place. And yeah, I definitely agree. I see a lot of companies now and again that, that come out. It's like, oh, it's Black History Month. Time to, we have some black creators. No, we don't. Okay. But we have some black characters. Okay, cool. But we got some white guys writing it. Okay, this doesn't work. And look, dude, like, rising tide raises all ships. You also got to look at it. Sometimes when folks do come out with stuff, it does feel pandered to, there's pandering and forced and contrived and so on. And I think for us, it's kind of an honor for us to be able to, see young girls come to our booth, pick up Niobe, and sometimes scream, sometimes cry, and know that it comes from an authentic place. And we've got, because it's a very inclusive world, we have comics set in our Scandinavia, in my fancy world, called Hörfang. So, it's not just...
I could not say that name.
Yo, no, it's Germanic, bro.
That was a crazy word you just said. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We have Ujoa, which is our world's Africa, right? So you've got the different lands and landscapes. So even though we've got our gods, our mythos, our dragons, all that nerdy cool stuff, we've also got an anthropological kind of point of view where if you're a dwarf and you're from Ujoa, you're black. If you're from Hörfang, you're white. Migration patterns, history. We spent 30 years creating this world.
Right.
So
it's literally like a Lord of the Rings level endeavor, like where you probably have reams and reams and reams of notebooks about the history that we may never see until somebody dies and it gets released in terribly edited books.
Right. I can only hope, yeah. But yeah, no, it's fun. You get to see fans now picking up the Untamed. We have Dusu, Path of the Ancients. If you come back, you'll see a very handsome man cosplaying as Dusu in a loincloth.
I'll bring my wife.
Definitely.
She'll be excited.
She will. She will.
I know.
And that is a story of Niobe's tribe she hasn't met yet.
Oh, cool.
So we start to see the world kind of coming together.
I like it.
So yeah, that's it. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, Sebastian, tell our listeners where they can find you, how they can get a hold of your comics.
Okay, guys. So if you like Game of Thrones, if you like Lord of the Rings, you just like cool shit with elves and dwarves and swords but great stories, hopefully, and beautiful art.
Yeah, amazing art.
Thank you. Go to strangercomics.com. You can also find us at Stranger Comics. We even have the Lord of the Rings jewelers, Badali, rocking the Niobe jewelry line.
Nice.
So you can get Niobe jewelry. And we just signed a deal with Paizo. So we're turning all of our stuff into 3.5 Pathfinder, including the Niobe Pathfinder edition. So
that's rad.
If you want to roll some dice and D20s, you want to learn Niobe stats, you want to get new feats, new character classes, you can pre-order Niobe Pathfinder at strangercomics.com as well.
That is...
Thank you.
I just had a little nerd boner right there. That's
Thanks,
amazing.
Bro. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Sebastian.
Thank you,
Sebastian.
No, it's fine. It's the morning.
But yeah, have a great day.
Thank
I
you,
hope
brother.
the con treats you super, super well.
Thank you so much. Awesome.